All right, buckle up, everyone. We're going to be taking a deep dive into AI's shadow side. And yeah, this was your pick for this deep dive.
You know, when I first saw the title, I've got to admit, I was kind of picturing like some robot uprising situation, like full-on sci-fi.
Oh, yeah.
But no worries, we're not going full Terminator on this one. This report really gets down to business. It's about the risks and opportunities facing companies, companies just like yours right now, when it comes to AI, that is.
And what's really interesting here is that this isn't some kind of like far off AI apocalypse scenario.
Right.
This report, which by the way is hot off the presses, came out from Cognition.Info's research team just last month.
Oh, wow. So this is really up to the minute.
It is, and it's packed with examples of, where AI is actually going wrong today. Like today.
Yeah.
And not just in like some small businesses, but like companies with really sophisticated tech.
Oh, so the big guys are having problems too, huh? Well, it's good to know. So I guess that means we're all in this together.
And we've got to be prepared. So in this episode, we're going to unpack this growing threat landscape, talk about some of those vulnerabilities that you need to watch out for, and then this is the really good part, how to turn those vulnerabilities into competitive advantages.
Because, just playing defense with your AI isn't enough anymore.
Right.
You've got to use it to, get ahead, to
Right.
pull ahead.
I like that. Be offensive with it.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, so let's jump right into this. The report talks about this reality gap. What is that?
Right, the reality gap. So it turns out that 92% of CXOs are actually really worried about AI misuse.
Wow, 92%. So almost everyone.
Almost everyone. But
Uh-oh. There's a but.
there's a but. Only 36% actually have a plan in place.
So there's this huge gap between awareness and action.
A huge gap, yeah. And it makes sense in a way. I mean, AI is moving at warp speed, right? It's really tough to keep up. But that gap is also where your opportunity is.
Okay, how so?
Well, the companies that figure this out first, like, they actually get a plan in place and they execute on it. Those are the companies that are going to be setting the pace for everyone else.
So it's not just about mitigating risk, it's about seizing an advantage. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about more than just data breaches here, right?
Oh, way more.
I mean, what other kinds of risks are we looking at?
Okay, so imagine this.
Yeah.
Your AI systems are doing their thing, right? Making decisions based on data. But that data has been, like, subtly manipulated.
Okay.
And suddenly your algorithms are leading you astray, making bad calls that could cost you big time.
So you're talking about like poisoning the well at the source.
Exactly. Poisoning the well. Or think about someone using AI to create fake news, like targeted specifically to hurt your company's reputation.
So that's not just like some random PR crisis. That's like an AI-powered smear campaign.
It is an AI-powered smear campaign. Like, it's next level.
Okay. I'm officially creeped out. So the report, it actually gets into specific examples of this stuff.
Sure. Oh, yeah, tons of examples. And they're pretty unsettling.
Okay, well, hit me with it. Give me an example.
All right, how about deepfakes?
Deep fakes, okay.
But these are deepfakes that are so good, they can impersonate executives, like
Here.
leading to fraud on a massive scale.
Hold on, deep fakes of executives.
Yeah.
So you're saying, like, someone could create a fake video of, let's say, your CEO authorizing a huge money transfer, and it would be believable.
That's the scary part. It could happen.
Oh, okay. That's terrifying.
And that's just one example. There's AI-generated fake news eroding brand trust, like it's a PR nightmare, but on steroids.
I see why they call this report AI's shadow side, because this is some serious stuff.
It is.
And I mean, the report wouldn't be much use if it just scared us, right?
Yeah.
So it talks about how to defend against these threats.
Absolutely. There's a whole framework they lay out. It's called the 6 dimensions of defense, and it covers everything from the, really technical nuts and bolts all the way to get this ethical considerations of AI security.
Ethical considerations. Now that's interesting. So let's start with the tech side. What do they call technical safeguards?
Okay, so imagine you're giving your AI like the equivalent of self-defense training.
Okay.
It's called adversarial training. And essentially you are exposing your AI to carefully crafted attacks. So it learns to, defend itself. There was this one financial firm, they implemented this, and they saw their AI's vulnerability drop by 43%.
Wait, 43%? So it's like a vaccine for your AI. You expose it to a weakened version of the threat so it can build up immunity.
That is a great analogy. It's like a vaccine for your AI. And get this, They also saw their legitimate fraud detection improve by 18%.
Oh, wow.
So it's not just about defense, it's about making your AI smarter and more effective overall.
So it's a win-win.
Okay?
Okay, I like it. What else is part of technical safeguards?
Well, you wouldn't leave your front door wide open, would you?
Of course not.
Same goes for your AI systems. Access controls are critical. You need to restrict who can access what based on their role, what they're allowed to do, even things like their location or the time of day.
So it's like you don't want just anybody tinkering with your most sensitive AI models. It's like giving them the keys to the kingdom.
It is. And speaking of those models, those are valuable assets. You need to protect them. So the report talks about secure storage, how to transfer these models securely, encryption, version control, secure pipelines, all that good stuff.
It's like protecting the crown jewels, but for your AI. Okay, so I'm starting to see how this all fits together. But you mentioned ethical considerations earlier, and this is where I'm really curious. What does that even mean in the context of AI security?
So it's about making sure that your AI aligns with your company values. It's not just about preventing misuse. It's about using AI in a way that's fair, unbiased, and transparent.
Okay, I'm following so far. But how do you actually bake those values into your AI? I mean, that sounds kind of abstract.
It starts with defining crystal clear ethical principles for your AI development. Like not just some vague mission statement, but actual actionable guidelines that your teams can follow.
So it's like a code of conduct, but specifically for your AI.
Exactly. A code of conduct for your AI. And the report gives this great example of a transportation company developing ethical principles for their self-driving systems.
Oh.
So they prioritize safety, but they also acknowledge that there might be trade-offs with efficiency.
Yeah, for sure.
And having these principles helped their engineers make consistent decisions when they were faced with those really tough design choices.
So those ethical principles are like a compass, right? Like guiding the development process. I like that. But how do you make sure your AI is actually following those principles, especially when it comes to things like bias, which can be, really subtle and hard to detect?
Right, that's where testing comes in. And not just like a one-time check, but you need to constantly monitor your AI for potential bias, even after it's deployed,
Okay.
and have protocols in place if you detect anything unfair.
So it's an ongoing process.
Exactly. And it's important to remember, this isn't just about avoiding bad PR or getting in legal trouble. It's about building better AI.
Right.
Like the report mentions this HR tech company, and they were developing an AI to screen resumes.
Mm-hmm.
They did really thorough fairness testing, and they actually found this unexpected bias against applicants from certain schools.
Oh, wow.
But they were able to fix it before the AI went live.
Oh, that's a close call. They could have unknowingly discriminated against a whole group of applicants. So testing is crucial, not just for the ethics, but for, avoiding some serious PR and legal headaches as well.
Exactly.
All right, so testing, check. What else?
Well, the report also stresses transparency. The bigger the impact your AI has, the more transparent you need to be about how it works. That means having clear disclosure policies, especially when you're using AI in customer interactions.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be upfront about how your AI is being used
Yeah.
and give people the information they need to understand how it works.
So it's all about building trust.
It is.
Showing people you're not hiding anything and that you're committed to using AI responsibly.
Exactly. Think of it like a nutrition label for your AI.
Ooh, I like that. A nutrition label for your AI. Okay, so we've covered technical safeguards and we've covered ethical foundations. What are the other dimensions of this defense framework?
Well, the next dimension is all about early warning systems.
Hmm.
They call it detection mechanisms. And it's about having the right tools and processes in place to catch those AI attacks before they can really do damage.
So it's like a security system for your AI. You've got all sorts of alarms going off if something fishy is detected.
Exactly. Like imagine anomaly detection. You're training your systems to recognize unusual patterns, unexpected spikes in data access, maybe strange queries coming from your AI.
So you're basically teaching your AI to say, hey, this doesn't look right.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
The report talks about this energy company, and they were using AI for predictive maintenance, and their system flagged a bunch of weird queries about very specific infrastructure components. Turned out it was a hacker, and they were trying to, scope out their systems.
Whoa. So they caught it early because their AI was basically like, hold up, this isn't how we normally do things.
Exactly. And with all these deep fakes going around, content authentication is another huge piece. We're talking digital watermarking, cryptographic signatures, even analyzing metadata to spot signs of manipulation.
Okay, so it's like a digital detective, right?
Yeah.
Looking for clues that something has been messed with. Man, this is getting more and more like a spy thriller every minute.
I know, right? And then you have user behavior analytics. So this is where you look for like unusual patterns in how people are interacting with your AI.
Okay, so let's say I'm using an AI-powered customer service chatbot,
Hmm.
and I suddenly start asking all these really technical questions about the system's architecture. That would raise a red flag, right?
Big time. Yeah. And the report talks about a healthcare provider, and they use this approach to spot someone who is trying to steal proprietary treatment protocols.
Oh, wow.
So they were sneaking around, asking questions that, just didn't fit a normal clinical workflow.
So they got busted by their own AI. That's pretty slick. Okay, so we've got technical safeguards, ethical foundations, and detection mechanisms. What's next in this AI security fortress we're building?
Well, the next one is all about getting everyone on board. It's called stakeholder engagement. And this is about making sure everyone understands how important AI security is, from your customers to your employees, even bringing in outside experts.
So you're talking about creating a culture of security. It's not just about having a bunch of rules and regulations. It's about getting everyone to buy in.
Yeah, precisely.
Mhm.
And this engagement takes many forms. Like you've got to educate your customers about how your AI works, what to watch out for. Training your employees to spot red flags and bringing in external experts can give you like a fresh perspective.
So let's break that down a little bit. Like, what do these engagement efforts actually look like in the real world?
Okay, so take customer education. The report mentions this insurance company, and they roll out a program explaining how their claims processing AI worked.
Okay.
They even taught customers how to spot, fraudulent communications, like phishing attempts that were disguised as AI messages.
Oh, wow. That's
And
smart.
guess what? They saw a 62% drop in successful phishing attacks
Wow, that's huge.
and a boost in customer satisfaction.
So it's a win-win. They made their systems more secure and they built trust with their customers.
Exactly. Now, for employee training, think like role-specific education on AI capabilities and limitations.
Yeah.
They need to know how to spot potential misuse. They need to have clear reporting procedures if something seems off.
Yeah.
And you've got to keep them updated on, those evolving threats. One manufacturing firm saw a huge increase in reports of suspicious activity after they started doing quarterly AI security training.
Oh, that's great. So it pays to invest in your people.
It does. Now, what about bringing in those outside experts? Why is that so important?
Yeah, what's the value there?
Those outside experts bring that unbiased perspective.
Right.
They can conduct security assessments, ethical reviews. They can even help you participate in like industry groups to share threat intelligence. One retail company even created a public-facing advisory panel
Oh, wow.
with security researchers, privacy advocates to review their AI governance. Talk about transparency.
That's a bold move. They're basically inviting scrutiny to show that they're really serious about doing things right.
They are.
I like it. All right. 5 dimensions down, 1 to go. What's the final piece of this AI security puzzle?
Okay. So the last one is response preparedness, which basically means you've got to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst.
Because no matter how many safeguards you put in place, there's always a chance that something could slip through the cracks, right?
So this is about having incident response playbooks ready to go, running regular simulations, things like tabletop exercises, and fostering a culture of continuous improvement.
Okay, give me the real world version of this. Like, how are companies actually putting this into practice?
Okay, so imagine this. A deep fake video of your CEO goes viral.
Oh, no.
It's spreading misinformation, causing chaos. A company that has response preparedness, they have a playbook for this exact scenario. They know who to contact, what steps to take, how to communicate with stakeholders. There was one financial institution that implemented this, and they were able to reduce their response time by 76% during simulated attacks.
So they're practicing like it's game day,
Yeah,
ready to respond quickly and effectively if or when the real thing happens.
exactly. And then there are simulations, like tabletop exercises. So it's basically a war game, but for your AI, where teams walk through like realistic attack scenarios to figure out how they'd respond. One healthcare system that did this uncovered these communication gaps between their tech and PR teams, and they were able to fix them.
So they found the weak spots and they strengthened those areas before a real crisis hit.
Exactly. And finally, continuous improvement. This is about learning from everything that happens,
Yeah.
good and bad. After an incident, you analyze what happened, you figure out the root cause, you make changes to prevent it from happening again. One company, a telecommunications provider, they use this approach to identify a pattern of attacks targeting specific vulnerabilities in their system. And by fixing those vulnerabilities, they prevented much more serious attacks down the line.
So they were constantly getting better,
Yes.
learning from their mistakes,
Yes,
and becoming more resilient over time.
exactly.
Okay, so we've covered all 6 dimensions of this AI defense framework. It's a lot to take in, but it seems like a really solid approach to managing those AI risks. But how do you actually implement all of this, especially in like a large organization with a lot of moving parts?
Yeah, it's not like you can just flip a switch, right?
No.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Hmm.
And the report offers a practical roadmap for that journey. It all starts with a really thorough self-assessment.
So you need to know where you stand before you can figure out where you're going. Makes sense.
Exactly. You document your existing security practices, identify gaps against, this framework we've been talking about, assess how things vary across different departments, and benchmark yourself against industry standards and regulations. Think of it like a checkup for your AI security.
It's like taking inventory,
Yes,
figuring out what you have, what you need, and where the vulnerabilities are.
you got it. And then you prioritize. You can't do everything at once. So you classify your AI applications by their risk level, pinpoint those quick wins, the things that'll have a big impact, and you create a multi-year roadmap with clear milestones.
So it's about being strategic and focusing on the areas that matter most.
Exactly. And you also need to define how you measure your progress. Establish those key performance indicators. KPIs focus on metrics that actually show real risk reduction. Create reports so leadership can see what's happening, and schedule those regular check-ins to make sure that you're on track.
So it's about accountability, making sure that things are actually moving in the right direction.
Exactly. The report mentions this, like global financial services firm, and they did this across all 12 of their business units.
Oh, wow.
They found these huge variations in security practices, with their customer-facing units being way more advanced. And this led to a knowledge-sharing program that helped the other units catch up.
So they learn from each other,
Yeah.
sharing best practices across the organization. That's great. Okay, so we've got our roadmap, we know where we stand, and we're ready to roll. But this isn't just about tech, right? This is about people, too. Like, how do you create a culture of AI security within a company?
That's a great point. And the report focuses on 3 key areas for making this happen: leadership alignment, building the right capabilities, and weaving these safeguards into your existing processes.
Okay, let's unpack that. Starting with leadership alignment. Why is that so crucial?
Okay, so think of it this way. If the people at the top aren't on board with AI security, it's going to be an uphill battle all the way. You need buy-in from the C-suite, those executives who set the tone for the entire organization.
So AI security can't just be another IT project.
No.
It needs to be like a core part of the company's strategy.
Absolutely. And it's not just about talk, it's about action. Like, leaders need to establish clear accountability for results. They need to create governance committees with real decision-making power. They need to align incentives with responsible AI goals. They need to walk the walk.
Yeah. So responsible AI needs to be part of the company's DNA, not just a box to check off.
It does. And then there's building those capabilities. This is about giving your people the skills and knowledge they need to actually champion AI security.
Okay, so training programs, right? What else?
Think bigger. You need to identify those skills gaps, both, technical and governance. You develop training programs. Yeah, but you also create centers of excellence with specialized expertise. You establish communities where people can share knowledge, collaborate.
So you're fostering a culture of continuous learning,
Yes.
where people are constantly developing their skills and sharing what they know.
Exactly. And the report actually highlights this healthcare organization. And they did just that. They created this responsible AI center of excellence. And people from different departments could rotate through it.
Oh, that's cool.
They'd gain specialized knowledge and then go back to their teams. So they were spreading that expertise throughout the organization.
They created these AI security ambassadors, right? Who
Yeah.
could champion these ideas within their own departments. That's great. Okay, what about the last piece? Integrating these safeguards into existing processes.
So this is where you make AI security a part of, your everyday operations, not some separate initiative. So you weave those safeguards into your development processes.
Yeah.
You align them with your broader security and risk management practices, and you integrate them with how you manage your vendors.
So it becomes part of the fabric of how the company operates.
Exactly. And the report gives this example of this retail corporation, and they rolled out a really comprehensive change management program around AI safety. They had regular town halls, a dedicated internal website, even awards for teams that were doing great work. And they saw a huge increase in people voluntarily reporting potential problems.
Wow. So they
Yeah.
created this real sense of ownership, right?
Yeah.
And shared responsibility.
They did.
Okay. So we've got leadership buy-in, we're building capabilities, we're integrating these safeguards into our processes. But let's be realistic, there are always challenges. What are some of the most common roadblocks that companies hit?
So the report actually gets real about this. There are several common challenges. Like, think about integrating these safeguards with older systems, like legacy systems,
Yeah.
that weren't designed with AI security in mind. It can feel like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole.
Yeah, I bet. You're trying to bring cutting-edge security to systems that might be decades old.
Exactly. And then you've got those organizational silos, right, where different departments are like working in isolation.
Right.
So security can easily slip through the cracks when teams aren't communicating, they're not collaborating effectively.
That's a classic problem, not just in AI, it's like in every big organization.
Yeah. And then you've got vendor management. So you're relying on these third-party software services and their security practices directly impact your own.
That's a huge blind spot for a lot of companies. You're trusting your vendors to have their act together, but you can't just assume that's the case.
Right. And finally, there's that skills gap. Like, it's really hard to find people with that perfect blend of AI and security expertise.
Yeah.
It's such a specialized field, and it's constantly evolving.
Right. Okay, so the challenges are real, but they're not insurmountable, right? Like, what are some strategies for overcoming them?
Not at all. The report has some really practical advice here for how to tackle each of these challenges. Let's start with those legacy systems. You can't just like rip and replace them overnight, right?
Right.
But you can create like a secure bridge between them and your AI. Think API security layers, data validation procedures, targeted monitoring. You're essentially building a security perimeter around those older systems.
Okay, so it's like creating a buffer zone, right?
Mhm.
Protecting your AI without having to like completely overhaul those legacy systems.
Exactly, a buffer zone.
Hmm.
The report actually mentions this manufacturing company that did this with their, get this, 30-year-old operational technology.
0 years old, wow.
Yeah, they built a secure API gateway that acted like, a bouncer, controlling all the traffic between their fancy new AI systems and that vintage equipment.
I like it. Very clever. Now, what about those organizational silos? How do you get different teams to work together on AI security?
It's all about communication and collaboration, honestly. You have to establish clear roles and responsibilities across the different functions, right? You create these cross-functional teams, implement shared workspaces, and even develop a common language for talking about AI security.
So you're breaking down those walls and fostering a more like integrated approach to security.
Right. And the report has this really cool example. This insurance company formed a cross-functional AI governance council.
Okay.
And they had people from, IT, data science, legal, risk management, even the business units, all working together.
Wow. That's a lot of people.
I know. It was a lot of stakeholders. And they were able to address emerging issues as a team, not as, these separate departments with competing priorities.
Right. It's the power of teamwork.
Hmm.
Okay. So vendor management. This feels like a minefield, especially in the AI space where you're so often relying on these third-party components.
It can be. But the key here is to be really proactive. You don't just blindly trust your vendors. You vet them.
Yeah.
You develop specific assessment criteria for AI vendors. You put security requirements right in your contracts. You verify the security of any components they provide, and you actively monitor those third-party services.
So you're essentially extending your security perimeter to include your vendors.
Yeah, exactly. You're making sure they meet your standards. One telecommunications company took this even further, and they created a super detailed assessment framework for AI vendors. It covered both, technical security and ethical considerations. And get this, they actually shared it with industry groups to try to raise the bar for everyone.
Wow. So they're not just protecting themselves, they're trying to push the entire industry toward more secure AI. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, last but not least, let's talk about that skills gap. It seems like everyone's looking for people with the right AI and security expertise these days.
It's true. It's a huge challenge. But there are ways to deal with it. You can create dedicated career paths for AI security specialists. You can train your existing staff in both AI and security. You partner with external experts to fill those immediate gaps. And you develop systems to capture and share knowledge within your organization.
So it's a multi-pronged approach. You're investing in your workforce, but you're also willing to seek outside help when you need it.
Right. And the report mentions this financial services firm. And they created a whole new career track for AI assurance professionals.
Oh, wow. A whole new career track. That's really interesting.
I know. And they combined like elements of data science, cybersecurity, and risk management into one specialized role. They even implemented rotational assignments, which is a great way to keep those talented people engaged
Right.
and to build expertise across different areas.
Smart. Okay, so we've talked about the challenges, but let's wrap things up on a positive note. We've talked a little about this already, but I think it's worth really highlighting what are the benefits of actually investing in secure AI? Like, why should companies go to all this effort?
Well, the payoff can be huge, honestly.
Yeah.
The report talks about three main benefits that go way beyond just reducing your risk.
Okay, I'm listening.
So we're talking like enhanced trust, accelerated innovation, and future-ready compliance.
All right, so let's break that down. Let's start with trust. Why is that so important in this age of AI?
Well, think about it. AI is becoming so much a part of our lives,
Right.
and consumers are getting smarter, right? They're realizing the potential risks, and they're choosing companies they think are using AI responsibly. Even businesses are factoring AI governance into their like vendor selection process, and regulators are paying attention. They expect companies to have their AI, act together.
So it's not just about like avoiding bad PR, getting hit with fines. It's about like building a reputation as a company that can be trusted with this really powerful technology.
It is. It's a competitive advantage.
It is.
One healthcare tech provider, they really took this to heart. And they saw like a 22% increase in their sales conversion rate just because they implemented really robust AI safeguards and they got third-party certifications. So their commitment to responsible AI was like a key thing that helped them win over customers.
So it really pays to do the right thing.
It does.
Okay. What about accelerated innovation? Doesn't all the security stuff kind of slow things down?
The report actually argues the opposite. Companies with strong AI safeguards are often able to innovate faster, more efficiently. Think about it. Clear guardrails, they reduce uncertainty, they empower teams to move forward confidently. Standardized processes eliminate that redundant security work, and if you identify risks early, it prevents costly rework down the line. And if you have consistent practices, it makes it so much easier to scale those successful pilot projects.
So it's not about stifling innovation with red tape. It's about creating a more streamlined and effective development process.
Exactly. And the report has this example. A financial services firm implemented standardized AI security practices, and they saw a 37% reduction in their average deployment time and a 64% decrease in post-deployment incidents. So they were moving faster and making fewer mistakes.
So they were operating at a higher level of performance because they had those safeguards in place.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Last benefit, future-ready compliance. What's the advantage there?
So the world of AI regulation is constantly evolving. There are new laws popping up all the time.
Right.
But companies that already have strong AI safeguards in place, they're in a much better position to adapt. Their existing practices often already meet a lot of those new requirements. They're documenting everything, so demonstrating compliance is a lot easier. Their governance processes are flexible, adaptable, and they have that collaborative culture we talked about so they can respond to those regulatory shifts more efficiently.
So they're not scrambling to catch up. They're already ahead of the curve.
Exactly. One global manufacturer actually found that their existing safeguards already addressed 83% of the requirements in a brand new regional AI regulation.
Wow. 83%.
They were able to enter new markets with minimal additional effort. They were ready.
That's the beauty of being proactive.
Hmm.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've explored the dark side of AI. We built this six-dimensional security fortress. We mapped out this practical implementation plan, tackled some tough challenges, and uncovered those amazing benefits of doing this right. If there's one message that our listeners take away from all of this, what should it be?
I think the message is clear. Secure AI isn't just a nice-to-have anymore. It's a must-have. The companies that prioritize this, the ones that really prioritize responsible AI, they're the ones that are going to thrive in this new AI-powered world. They'll build trust, they'll innovate faster, and they'll be ready for whatever the future throws at them.
I couldn't have said it better myself. This report really is a call to action. It's a call to action for leaders, for business leaders, to really step up and make responsible AI a core part of their strategy. It's a challenge, yes, but it's also an amazing opportunity.
You got it. And for everyone listening out there who might feel a little overwhelmed by all of this, just remember, you don't have to do everything at once.
Yeah.
Start small. Take a look at your current AI practices, identify one area where you can improve, and get going.
Great advice. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Choose one thing and just focus on getting it right.
Exactly. Because responsible AI isn't just about mitigating risks, it's about unlocking the true potential of this technology. It's about creating a better future.
That's a great note to end on. So, to all our listeners out there, stay curious, stay secure, and let's build that better future together. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into AI's shadow side.